Good morning. Welcome to the It's your number one breakfast fund headline stories on some select newspapers, including Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. And my name is Winifred Ubebo, your host on the program. As usual on the program, we like to flag off with Nigeria's most influential leadership. Leadership's leading story says kidnapping still a developing story on insecurity issues plaguing the country. Tinubu Wike service chiefs brainstorm on crisis. Kidnapping. Tinubu Wike service chiefs. Wike is the FCT minister. Service chiefs brainstorm on crisis. Since on Monday, leadership has been leading with insecurity issues plaguing the country. The writer says is disturbing, ungodly, says president. IGP orders DIG to crush kidnappers. FCT minister gives area council chairman marching orders. Gunmen kill 7 in Nasarawa community attack. By the sidelines, we have Nasarawa Sule Ombugaju seek victory at Supreme Court. Shell exists Nigeria's onshore after 88 years. Explosion causes pandemonium in Ibadan. AFCON, Namibia stunned Tunisia 1-0. Burkina Faso beat Mauritania. The story continues on page 30 of leadership. That is ongoing African Cup of Nations. Namibia stunned Tunisia 1-0, while Burkina Faso beat Mauritania. You'll find more as you go over to page 30 of the paper. At book launch, Buhari apologizes for her decisions. Is the stories on page 7. Of course, that's his leading picture on the cover of leadership. We have working under Buhari, a book launched by the special advisor on media, Femi Adesina, yesterday in Abuja. On the business boss, we have cancelled domestic crude oil allocation to ease forest supply, Agora policy. Cancel domestic crude oil allocation to ease forest supply, Agora policy. And above the masthead of leadership, we have Trump sweeps Iowa caucus ahead of 2024 race. 80 rescued, 12 confirmed dead in Niger boat mishap. The story is on page 16 of leadership. With that, we move to page 3 of leadership, where we have our stand. And our stand today is on court in travel expenses does not go far enough. Of course, the president announced last week that they were cutting down on travel expenses, starting from the president, the first lady, and of course, ministry officials and the vice president. Leadership stand today says cut in travel expenses does not go far enough. You have to log on to the website of leadership to read more on the editorial. Meanwhile, let's go over to the back page of the paper where we have midweek Wednesday column with, of course, this is a guest columnist, Olufunke Baruwa. Wednesday column with Olufunke Baruwa. She's writing on wanted heroes for Nigeria. For more, log on to the website of Leadership newspaper, www.leadership.ng. From Leadership, we move to the Punch. Punch also has the same developing story on insecurity. It says abduction epidemic. Anti-kidnapping protest holds in Abuja today as 10 suspects arrested. Abduction epidemic. Anti-kidnapping protest holds in Abuja today as 10 suspects arrested. Tinubu vast crackdown on kidnappers. Agents of darkness, abductors kill hotel barman. That's the leading story on the Punch, and other stories gracing the cover say federal government saves 8 trillion naira from subsidy removal forest reform. Tinubu panel. Federal government saves 8 trillion naira from subsidy removal forest reform. Tinubu panel. Refinery. Dangote investors gain 1.2 trillion naira. Naira plunges to 1,300 naira per dollar at parallel market. And of course, the headline story where we also have the photo says many fear dead as massive explosion rocks Ibadan. May the soul of the departed rest in peace. Many fear dead as massive explosion rocks Ibadan. That is it on the headline stories on the Punch newspaper. From the Punch, we move to Vanguard. Vanguard is next on our menu. Vanguard's headline story is still on insecurity. Tinubu, Wike rise against insecurity via renewed action. Tinubu, Wike rise against insecurity via renewed action. Riders, main service chiefs vows to secure every inch of Nigeria. Says he inherited many assets, liabilities from Buhari. IGP means task force, tactical squad commanders. Orders DIG operations to coordinate accelerated upscale operations. Wike summons emergency security meeting. Reads riot are to cancel buses. Kaduna to get more military operation bases. Ubasani laments resurgence of attacks on Kaduna-Abuja highway. Summons monarchs. Direct states to set up local police. Afenifere tells federal government. Says failure to use BVN, NIN to track perpetrators. Indictment on security agents. We have also the picture of Femi Adesina's book launch yesterday in Abuja on the cover of Vanguard. Buildings destroyed as explosion rocks parts of Ibadan. Federal government building fiscal resilience to reduce foreign borrowing, according to the finance minister. Federal government building fiscal resilience to reduce foreign borrowing. Palliative funds, there's plots to link Gbaja. Source. Supreme Court judgment, don't throw Nasarawa into crisis, APC. And in sports, AFCON 2023, Nigerians should keep supporting us. Trust Ekong Vex. We move to the stories above the masthead. Divestment, share reaches deal to sell onshore outfits for $2.4 billion. NNPC should have privatized refineries before rehabilitation, according to the former Vice President Abubakar Atiku. 83 illegal refineries uncovered in 1 week, and Buhari says, I prepared myself for probe. That is it on Vanguard newspaper headlines. As we move to the next on our menu, and that is The Guardian. Guardian's headline story says federal government opts for conditional divestment as oil majors trade $4.5 billion assets. Endless hurdles for free trade zone at 32 years after. I'll take that again. Endless hurdles for free trade zone act 32 years after. U.S. court to repatriate over 5 billion naira stolen assets to Nigeria. The story continues on page 3 of The Guardian. That is stirring news for Nigeria as U.S. court said to repatriate over 5 billion naira stolen assets. Federal government's order on border closure still in force, says Customs. Inflation, currency depreciation undermining Nigeria's economic outlook. State police restructuring security agencies panacea to kidnapping orders. State police restructuring security agencies panacea to kidnapping orders. Political class security chiefs promise action on killings, abduction epidemic. Wike summons emergency security meeting over kidnapping to check absconding teachers and savage education sector. That's the editorial on page 12 of The Guardian, to check absconding teachers and savage education sector. Governor calls for calm as casualties, damaged buildings, stray Ibadan explosion. Of course, we have the graphic picture on the cover of The Guardian newspaper of the casualties from yesterday's Ibadan explosion. Well, that is it for The Guardian as we move over to the last paper on our menu, and that is Daily Sun. Daily Sun's leading story says Nigeria's stolen assets. UK court orders return of 8.2 billion naira. Nigeria's stolen assets. UK court orders return of 8.2 billion naira. Direct money be used for arms purchase. Kidnapping. Wike hosts emergency meeting with security chiefs orders. Tells residents not to panic as IGP meets task force tactical squad commanders in Abuja. Disgruntled politicians using IPOB against Deputy Speaker group as Biafra agitators accuse him of working against Kanu's release. Residents panic as explosion rocks Ibadan. Government appeals for calm. Concerns mount over sale of $2.4 billion Shell onshore gas assets. The story continues on tweeting, and of course, it's also a story that is making the rounds in other papers. The second headline story says, insecurity, no rest until agents of darkness are eliminated, says Tinubu. Main security chiefs, Buhari served Nigeria with dedication, president. Laws Additional's book on ex-president. Why the Sun Awards winners emerged is on page 6. Just the last story on the cover of Daily Sun says, anxiety as Supreme Court reserves judgments on Nasarawa Kebbi Guba disputes. Declare me winner on Bugadu, Nasarawa PDP candidate test court. This is the last story on Daily Sun today, and of course also brings us to the end of the first segment of the show Inside Nigeria. My name is Winifred Ugbe, but don't go away. We have our second segment of the show coming in with our guest joining us via Zoom. Stay tuned.
Be part of our brand. Leadership for God.
Leadership TV for God and country.
part of our brand. Leadership for God and country. Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country.
Leadership V for God and country. Leadership TV for God and country.
program a bit behind schedule. We were experiencing some technical glitches. However, we are here now to start the second segment of the show, and of course, we have a guest who is joining us virtual. Of course, it's somebody I like to say is wearing three caps. Is a public affairs analyst, a TV host, and a syndicated columnist, Jide Ojo. Jide Ojo, good morning. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program. Yeah, good to see you. So sorry we are delayed. Anyway, without wasting much time, since on Monday the papers have been awash with reports of on insecurity, as you may know, or as insecurity has become a problem, like a canker worm in Nigeria, and so many things have been said and nothing has been done about it. Anyway, away from insecurity issues, I want us to talk about oil. Like for instance, we have some oil multinationals. They are divesting from the country, and they are selling their assets. What do you have to say about that? And that is on the backdrop of the fact that NNPC said it wants to privatize Port Harcourt refineries. And Abubakar Atiku, the former vice president of Nigeria, is saying that you are actually putting the horse before the cart. You're supposed to have privatized refineries before rehabilitation. So what do you have to say about that? Mm. Yes. Yes. Mm. Mm.
And so it's in their best interest to make maximum profit now on their investment. That's one. Two is also the insecurity we talked about. Oil theft has hampered the operations of these multinational oil companies. Many of their workers have been kidnapped. They have had to pay ransom in dollars, and their pipelines have been vandalized. So they have been running at very huge loss. This is despite the Petroleum Industry Act, which we thought it's coming on board with stem this whole issue of energy theft.
Mm.
But it has not happened the way we thought, because as it were, quite a number of we still have a scenario where a lot of oil theft is still happening in the Niger Delta region. And when this theft is taking place from where the crude is already produced and is being transported onto the ship. So you saw, if you watch news a couple of days back, Tantita, the company of Tompolo that got the license to do pipeline surveillance,
Mm.
arrested a from Lagos. Yesterday, the chief of defense staff was even there in I think Delta or Port Harcourt, to say that their effort at pipeline surveillance is yielding positive results. So many of these multinational oil companies have been running at very huge loss because of this oil theft,
Mm.
which seems intractable over the decades. So those two reasons, I think, are responsible for the divestment in the Nigerian oil sector, the energy transition, and then the oil theft. The other point made by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is neither here nor there. It's like you want to sell off your car. You either sell it off as a scrap. Maybe the car has been gulping a lot of money,
But I
and
also felt the same way. That was what actually came to my mind when I saw the story yesterday. I said, why privatize now? Why didn't you privatize then? Why would you spend so much
no,
money
no,
to
I'm
rehabilitate
I'm
then
com- I'm com-
privatize?
I'm coming to that. So I think the thought in government circle is that it's better you borrow money, fix this refinery, and hand over a working refinery to a private concern to manage for you, rather than selling it up in that state it was before
Okay.
the turnaround maintenance. In which case, if you have sold it off at that time of like in the year 2020, 2021, before the turnaround maintenance, you may not get very good buy for those. It will be sold up like a scrap. Imagine something that is worth maybe 20 billion being sold up as less than maybe 700 million. So I think with the value addition that has taken place now, it's even natural me that NNPC has admitted failure that it may not be in a position to manage it, and as such is looking for a private concern, private company that have the expertise to enable them to manage this successfully. So we just hope that whoever is selected at the end of the day is able to do a better job than that of NNPC itself. Many scholars have said that our problem is not that government cannot manage it. It's just that we have not really made scapegoat of many of those who have compromised and have sabotaged these, refineries over the decades. Where, after all, Aramco is a Saudi oil company. It's managed by Saudi citizens. It's by Saudi government. It's not the management is done by the Saudi Arabian government. So, and they are running that company successfully and profitably. The same thing with Kenya Airlines. Ethiopia Airlines. You say government has no business in business, but Ethiopia Airlines is a going public concern and is running profitably. But when it comes to Nigeria, things seems to take a different turn. But I just feel that we need media and CSO oversight on whoever gets eventually selected to run the Port Harcourt refinery after the completion of the turnaround maintenance, so that they don't go and bring in an incompetent, private company. It's just like when we are talking football, you say you need foreign coach, foreign coach, foreign coach. We have a foreign coach that has lost more matches than he has won. And yet, the money that Nigerian government is paying the foreign coach, they will never offer it to a local coach or a domestic coach. I don't know if you get my drift.
I do. I'm
Sometimes
listening to you. Yeah.
it's not so much about whether somebody is foreign or
It's true.
whatever. It's just look at it this way, Winifred. We have handed over our electricity
Yes, to
to the
discuss.
private to this discos, gencos. It's only the transition aspect that government. But what has it done for us with
Nothing.
over 30 billion investment in the energy sector? Do you know that federal government is still subsidizing
Oh
electricity?
yes.
That's why we
Yes.
are still paying the amount that we are paying
We
now. Has it been that they've withdrawn subsidy from the electricity? We possibly would have been paying much higher than we would
yes.
have, to the extent that we would have preferred to be buying fuel to power our generator. So it's just for us to continue to oversight these
Okay.
government agencies and make sure that they do the right thing.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. Just before we go, because we don't really have time on our side now, I just want you to throw light. Femi Adesina, the spokesman, media spokesman, special advisor to former President Muhammadu Buhari, launched his book yesterday, Working Under Buhari. And of course, leadership has a photo and as well as the news. He said at book launch, Buhari apologizes for hard decisions. Apologizes. Is the apology not a bit late, don't you think?
Well, maybe it will assuage some feelings, but we know that government is not. Um, if you are in government, you must be willing and ready to take hard decisions. But those hard decisions are they in the best interest of the country, and has it yielded positive results to the generality of the
They
people?
haven't.
The kind of corruption allegations that have been unearthed
Yes.
that took place under Buhari administration, if those corruption allegations are not coming forward, from CBN to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs
Mm,
to the Ministry of Aviation and several others, if those corruption allegations weren't that right, maybe those are decisions could have been taken as that bitter pill that we need to take to cure
exactly.
our malaria. In those days, we used to take chloroquine to cure malaria. And chloroquine, as you know, is very bitter. But in situations where you take decision, okay, let's start from the issue of Naira redesign. With the benefit of hindsight, with the president say he did well by the Naira redesign, and look at enormous resources that was plowed into that Naira design project.
Mm,
Or is it the Nigeria here that Adi Sirika, flew for 8 years?
yes.
Hey, we need a national carrier. We need a national carrier. On the eve of his departure, they went and borrowed a plane and painted it Nigeria here. That plane left that same day back to Ethiopia or wherever it was borrowed from. Is that kind of government that you want to applaud that took hard decisions in the best interest of the country? Look at the humongous money that was stolen from Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation or Disaster Management. And so the point is, well, the jury is still out there on the Buhari administration. It's not Tinubu. Tinubu is 7 months into his own administration. And as I said in my column in The Punch today, this issue of cutting down the cost of governance, it needs to be very, very alive to it and just go beyond the scrapping the surface. This 60% reduction in cost of air travel or travel is not going to get us anywhere. We need to block all the leakages in the system.
Yes.
All these government-owned enterprises that are swallowing money left, right, and center, that are not remitting what they should remit. We need to deal with that. We need to deal with the issue of oil theft. We need to deal with the issue of illegal mining and of our solid mineral. We need to cut down on the number of our ministers. We don't need 48 ministers for crying out loud. You need to alter the constitutional provision that says that a president will appoint a minister from every state, at least one minister from every state. We don't need that. A country that is hemorrhaging, that economy is comatose, will not be buying 3 cars for 3 billion naira. Will not be buying yacht, presidential yacht for his president. You know, these are things that will convince an ordinary citizen that we are not serious. We are really not serious about good governance, about betterment of the life of ordinary
Mm,
citizens. So Buhari has done his own bit. 8 years may be long, but it's still a very short time in the life of a nation. And we pray that at the end of Tinubu administration, we will not even be saying that, that Buhari was a saint compared to what we were experiencing
yes,
under
that's our
Tinubu.
prayer.
So that's why Tinubu must know that he is writing his own will in the minds of the people now, and that whatever issues we have with Buhari, whether he governed well or did not govern well, whatever the image launderer is trying to do, I am personally not convinced. The bottom line is that it's history that will judge you, whether you did well or you didn't do well. Goodluck Jonathan had his own bit. Maru Musaya had his own bit. Obasanjo did his own 8 years. But what is the standard of living of average Nigerian in 25 years of return to democratic rule since 1999. You will see how many more lives are dropping below poverty line, how many more people could not access their farmlands because of bandits, how many more lives, how many people have japa. Do we have this kind of japa syndrome where our embassies are daily having long queues of people who wants to get visa to travel out of the country? Look at our education sector. People have to travel to Gabon, travel to. I was so surprised, Winifred, that we have over 5,000 students of Nigeria in Sudan. 5,500 students of Nigeria. What are they doing there? What is in Sudan? But because everybody just want to carry a degree, whether fake or original, they just have to japa to study abroad. But by and large, I just hope and this brings a closure to the Buhari administration, and it also opened a new chapter about Tinubu. Tinubu should just roll up his sleeves and ensure that he's able to deliver on his 8-point agenda. That's what matters to ordinary citizens now. Buhari is in retirement. He's already in the departure launch. He's 80 years, so he's not looking for any other thing. He's a grandpa. He's a great grandpa self. So we should just allow him to have a peaceful retirement in Daura. But the one that concerns ordinary citizens, you and I, is this incumbent one that is at the helm of affairs. How will you secure our lives? How will you make our lives better? How are we going to see the implementation of Section 14 sub 2B of the Constitution that says citizens' welfare and security shall be the primary purpose of government? We need to see that welfare, we need to see that security, so that we can say, thank God we voted for Tinubu, and that we can, Buhari's administration is good regards to bad rubbish. But situations where we will now say, I will wish even Buhari is even the one that is there. May we not have that kind of scenario at the end of the day. So I am happy for Mr. Femi Adesina for the successful completion of that book. It was well attended. I think there were other books that were also launched. I read about 5 books or 2 books, whatever book number. I hope people will read it. It's only people who are well fed that reads for pleasure now. And reading those books, I don't know of what utilitarian value is going to give to hungry souls that are feeling that abounds in Nigeria now, who are daily seeking what to eat. You saw last week a banker that had to commit suicide in a bank office, in the toilet of our bank, just because of frustration. And that's even one out of several others. For those who could jackpot, they have left, they are leaving, they will continue to live. But for those of us who have no other place to go, can they just make the environment, conducive for us to plow our own trade and have our own life? So we want to see a higher standard of living, not high cost of living, as currently playing out in Nigeria.
All right, thank you so much, Jide Ojo, the man with 3 caps. He's a public affairs analyst, a TV host, and a syndicated columnist. It's always a pleasure to have you on the program, and I look forward to seeing more of you on the program, Jide Ojo. Well, viewers, this is where we draw the curtain on today's Inside Nigeria. Your breakfast show is a newspaper review where we discuss front headline stories on some select newspapers. My name is Winifred Ugbebo, and until I come your way again, same time, same station, this here is wishing you a beautiful day. See you then. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership